reason there is a myth that marketing campaigns are only for large corporations, for people or companies with huge budgets and experienced marketers. So then, if you have a message or a product or a service, then you need your message or your product or service to be promoted in different types of media. Our amazing guest today, Bernice Loman, says creating marketing campaigns are not complicated, and that her handbook will give you a step by step guide to create a successful marketing campaign. You'll learn about marketing trends and strategies, content marketing, how to create a marketing plan, set a marketing budget, and more. So, whether you are a startup or a Fortune 500 company, this guidebook by Bernice Loman has got you covered. So, don't go away, stay with us. We will have Bernice and her marketing handbook to help you grow your business to the next level. Joining us coming up shortly. If you are just joining us, then welcome to Books with Bridgetti. I'm your host, Bridgetti Loman from Cape Town in South Africa, and this live stream is made possible by StreamYard and BeLive Media, helping you make meaningful connections. A special warm welcome to you, our viewers, because this is an audience-centric show. So whether you're watching us over on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or over on Amazon Live, a very warm welcome to you. If you've never watched the show before, please feel free to say that you are new and we'd be happy to give you a shout out. Now, before I introduce my amazing guest for today, Bernice Loman, to bring the show to you, I wanted to let you know, because a lot of people ask, what do you use to live stream? How do I start live streaming? What do I do? So to produce the show, I use a Logitech Brio camera, and I also use the Samsung CO1U USB microphone. So those are over in the carousel if you are watching the show on Amazon Live. And then you will also see, I think I put one or two chairs down in the carousel. And the reason for that is I live with chronic back and neck pain. So it's very, very important to me that I use a chair that supports my back and my neck. And so when I look at a good chair, those are the things I look out for. So you'll find that over in the carousel as well as my recommendation. So my amazing guest today is Bernice Loman. She is a business coach and the CEO of Loman Creative Services. That is a one-stop shop for marketing campaigns and tech training. Bernice has a master's and a bachelor's in business administration and management. And what we want to focus on today is that she is the author of the Marketing Campaign Handbook. Who does not need Bernice's help? Because we've all got something we want to sell, whether it's a service or a product, but we need a marketing campaign. So without any further ado, let me welcome her to join me on screen today.
Thank
Bernice,
you.
welcome to the show. I am so pleased to have you as my guest today. And I want to just right out the gate say a warm welcome. We've got two people watching us over on YouTube right now, and I just want to give them a hearty warm welcome as well. Bernice, I want to just jump right in because I've got a gazillion questions for you, and I want to start right with asking you, there are so many people today who do marketing. There's a gazillion marketing experts
Yes.
out there, all saying
Mhm.
that they can help you with your business. But your degrees speak for themselves. So I want to ask you, just for those who don't know, the fact that you've got these two degrees, how does that set you apart and how does that enable you to help people with a marketing campaign that someone else who doesn't have that kind of training cannot do for them?
That's a great question. My training with my degrees helped me to learn marketing research, and in fact, a lot of my assignments in my learnings was I had to dissect companies and I had to learn about the startups of those amazing companies such as Google and Yahoo and those larger companies that we see thriving to this day. But those assignments were really my homework. I had to dissect those companies and to see why they were so successful. Why did they have longevity in business? What was their marketing? What was their marketing plan? What did it look like? How did they develop longevity in business? And so I took that concept of like, wow, this is amazing. I love how companies are thriving and why they have thrived for so long, the reasons behind that. And so, with my passion, I just love to help people. It wasn't just the degree part, but who I am. I just enjoy seeing companies and those who wanted to start their business to thrive in business, whether they were larger companies, as I did learn more about in my having my degree, but just learning companies that were just starting out, I was able to also help companies that were starting out too. So that's, I hope I answer your question, but that's what I really would say with my degree and learning from my schooling, were the assignments that I had to learn, and assignments that we created in in schooling, and that helped me even now as I grow with my marketing campaigns.
So it's not just like, you're not doing a thumb suck thing. Your degrees have
No.
taught you to analyze a campaign,
Yes.
before you dive in, and to do research and to be able to advise a company, whether it's a startup or an author wanting to sell a book or a Fortune
Yes.
500 company, because you're saying the principles remain the same. Now, I want to
Yes.
start off by asking you another question. Why did you want to write the marketing campaign handbook? How is the handbook different from everything else? Because obviously you must have done your research before
Yes,
you
I
wrote
did.
the marketing handbook. So
I
how is
did.
your marketing handbook different from the other stuff you found on the marketplace?
I am so glad you asked that. I wrote it because, of course, like you said, I did my research and I found that there seemed to have been a myth that marketing campaigns were just a campaign that larger companies use, and or political parties, those who are running for a political office, they normally use the campaigns. And so I did my research. I'm like, there are a lot of smaller, small business owners who still need that same knowledge. They need to run successful campaigns, and it does not take thousands and thousands of dollars. It can, but you can have also a low budget and still create a successful marketing campaigns. And I've had a couple of clients. I use the data also from the clients that I had from the time that I wrote my book, during those times, clients that looked up to me for marketing campaigns were more larger companies, and those who were the small startup companies, they were mostly looking for a flyer, or they were mostly looking for, oh, I need help with my website. And I'm like, okay, I put two and two together. Like, you guys also need a marketing campaign if you're starting a business, you writing a book as an author. And so with my data from research, data from the clientele, I just was encouraged to write the book and to let everyone know that you can create a successful marketing campaigns with a low budget, or those who are just starting out in business. And so I wrote the book for those who are starting out, and also for larger companies who have been growing in their business, but because of the shift and change of the pandemic,
Mm.
we know there's been a shift in technology. There's been a shift globally. And so I wrote the book to inspire and help those who are starting out in business, and those who have been in business but still want to learn the trends of digital marketing. I'm going to say this, just this today, I had a webinar, and the webinar was how to create a email campaign within 15 minutes or less. Well, I had one gentleman who attended, who said, I want I want to let you know that I learned a lot. I've been I had a marketing company for over 20 years, and what you said today really made sense and it helped me. There was a couple other people who said, wow, we really learned a lot with creating our marketing email campaigns. And I say that to say this: no matter where you are in your business, whether you've been in business for a long time, and this goes back to answer your question about how does my book and how what I do uh, is different from those who have written books and those who've shown up on the scene who said, I've created marketing campaigns and I'm in marketing. Well, there's some things from my experience, my schooling, things that I have learned, my own research that can help you as well. And so the gentleman said today, who's had a marketing company for over 20 years, like, wow, you just taught me something that I didn't even think about, so I gotta say, no matter where you are in business, this book is definitely a to go step for you.
Wonderful. What would you say are the sort of top three mistakes that you think people make when they embark on a marketing campaign?
Not having a budget, definitely. I would say one that if I would say on top of the list, I would definitely say not having a budget, not having a plan. You got to have a plan. The marketing campaign is to have you're creating a plan, and so you need a budget. And also, I would say one of the mistakes would be not not trying something new, something different. As I stated before, things have changed in the market. You find larger companies now who are trying to figure out, how can I leverage what we have. You have companies who have these large products and many employees, and they're still trying to figure out, how can I leverage, because things have changed, algorithms have changed. And so this is definitely I would definitely say you have to get in the place of knowing that things change, and wanting to do something different, wanting to do something new in the change of time.
So for an author, for example, say I'm writing a book, right?
Mhm.
So I'm writing a book. I'm in the process of writing my book, and at some point it's going to be ready to go to market. At
Yes.
what point as an author do I start planning my marketing campaign? Do I wait until my book is done, till my book is at the publisher? At what point would you advise an author to start embarking on a marketing campaign? Because I see a lot of I see a lot of authors come unhinged because, also generally with, as you mentioned, right now things have shifted quite radically
Yes.
with COVID. So,
Yes.
the traditional way of marketing were for authors to go and read their books in libraries, to go and visit schools,
Yes.
visit, do all these things in person. So things have definitely shifted. So
Yes.
how, how do you as an author um, go about marketing your book during these different times?
I would definitely say, as far as the timing, while you are writing the book, the moment you decide that you want to be an author and that you will write a book is the perfect time to begin the marketing campaign. Do not wait until you have finished your book, because an average author, because I'm an author, okay? This is not my first book. So I understand, as even as an author, that while you're writing, before you write, you already have an idea of your audience and who you're writing to. It's in the message of your writing, of you writing the book. So right then you have a visual of who your audience would be. So I would definitely say that first, is to start the campaign. And as the time has changed, as you stated, with the pandemic, I would say think of yourself even as a consumer. With things you used to do as a consumer, you no longer can do as much. Times has changed. So uh, I would say, as an author, keep in mind, like you said, sometimes back in the older times, we would think of a traditional, that's the word, a traditional thing for authors is going to a in-person event. Well, now we have, like you said, StreamYard and these amazing tools that can help you as an author. And that's why I said number three definitely would be to try something new. Things have shifted. Adding a live stream plan into your marketing definitely helps. And I share this in my book. And one of the reasons why I said this is because people people even before COVID, even before the pandemic, have been mobile for a while. I think what we see now is the pandemic has really shown us that, oh wow, we needed to go live. We needed to be digital and mobile all this time. But literally way before the pandemic, people were more mobile than ever before. So I would say, for an average author, while you're writing, definitely begin to have a plan, a digital plan. You need a digital plan. How are you going to market this? Where are you going to go digitally, to network with other other companies, who other digital companies, like such as yourself, like this, and promoting. You have to promote throughout, and not just after your book, but during the process of your book, to let others know that you do have something upcoming. All of this should be in your planning process of your book.
Bernice, I just have to smile because, while you were saying that, because I have often found, I've interviewed hundreds of authors over the last couple of years. And, several times authors have said to me, I'm going to have to push my interview out because, there's been a delay in getting my book out.
No.
Can we reschedule the interview? I'm thinking, so tell me in your words, why is that such a huge monumental mistake?
It is, because I feel like a lot of authors who state that don't understand the importance of getting their message out there. And you have authors, those authors are the ones that they wait until everything is I would say, quote, together, and those are the ones who only have a limited of sales for a limited time, because your thought is, I'm going to wait until the book is done, and once the book is done, you have these group of people who will purchase the book. Yes, you may have a couple of sales, but then after that, I mean, what else is there? You can begin to get pre-sales. You begin to brand. When you have a book, that book forms its brand. You have created a brand while you are writing the book. So I would definitely recommend, in the process, sharing messages of the book. What can people expect? You're building excitement, and as you're building excitement, you can also begin to build an email list, so that when your book officially comes, then um, those people that you have shared there, you have built excitement. They're now expecting it. They're now in expectation. I shared some tips in the book of things that you can do as you're building your campaign as well. Those are some. Um, keep in mind that keep in mind that you do not have to wait until it comes. You can share as if it's already here. You're sharing information. You can share even if you got one line of your book, even if you got one paragraph, you could take that whole entire line or that whole entire paragraph and begin to create podcasts on that. Share with other media teams. You can I mean, it's so much that you can do just from that alone. So I just want to share that with those who, if you're that group of people that say, oh, I want to wait. No, you don't have to. I mean, right now is the start time where you begin to talk about what's to come. So when people, when it does arrive, people are already excited. They know where to go. They know where to get it. And you begin to also share, you can also begin to share your story, what we like to say, brand story. What's the message behind why you created a book. So you don't have to share that you have a book that's out in November, but you can begin to just talk about what's the feeling, what inspired you to write the book. You can begin to talk about the message of the book before the book um actually is on the shelves or on Amazon, or however you want to, talk, whichever platform you want to say.
And that could be anything, right? I mean, I
Anything. Hmm.
specifically asked about books, but I mean, the same principle belongs elsewhere.
Yes.
And to me, it comes down to that whole thing about, you know, it takes time to build know, like, and trust, because people build. It's an old
Yes.
saying, but it still holds true today. If people get to know you, they like you, and they trust you, it really doesn't matter what you're selling, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because people will buy from you simply because it's you, and that's how it works in business. You have a
Yes.
salesperson that's been with the company for yonks. They move. What happens? The clients follow them. So it's not even about the company or the product. It's a people thing. People um, who are like-minded. Your tribe, your following, whatever you want to call them,
Yes.
is going to follow you regardless. And it's not, and what you were saying earlier, your marketing campaign, your digital marketing campaign is not a one and done. It has to be a series of events, because it's not speed dating the way I
Yes.
call it sometimes. Marketing campaigns not speed dating. It's a process of allowing people to get to know who you truly are. So
Yes.
so your book, the Marketing Campaign Handbook, how does it work for both a small business, like somebody just starting out? Is it because the principles are the same across the board? Are there differences? Is it just the budget that differs, but the process is the same?
So that's a good question. So as far as the small versus the larger companies, the concept is still the same. It's just when it comes to team building, team members, those that you may want to hire or bring on your staff, then of course budget is a factor. And budget is also a factor with a smaller company, of course, versus a larger company who has more stakeholders. So there is a difference when it comes to the budget, but the concept of marketing, everyone needs a plan. You need a marketing plan. Everyone has a target market. um, you'll need to also know which channels, what social media channels you want to be on. All of us, whether we're small business or larger companies, are on Facebook. We're all on Twitter or some form of social media platform, regardless if you just starting out in business or if you are a larger company. The difference is budget. You know, you may have a larger budget for more of Google ads versus a small startup company. You might have a 10,000 budget for your streaming or advertisement, you know, versus a small startup. But the principle of starting the campaign is still the same. So that's what I would say the difference is the budget. Setting the budget for the campaign. But again, the concept of creating a campaign is still the same.
I gathered that you would say that much, but I wanted it to come from you. Um,
Yes.
so tell me a typical, you know, a small, like an author, for example, wants
Hmm.
to market their book. Realistically speaking, how much of a budget should you budget for?
That's a good question because I can't even answer that like right now because and I say this for clients who also hire me to with consultation. They're like, well, what, I'm gonna book a consultation, but what can I look forward to? I don't know until I really know what type of book it is. There's questions, you know, what type of audience, where's your audience, because we
Yeah.
definitely will need to go where your audience is. You know, whether it's a promotion of ads, whatever it is, I would definitely need to know. Every book is different. um you know, so I can't say, okay, you're going to need 1,000 here, and then you might have another author that could really work very well with a smaller budget, 500. But what I share in the book is some tips that you can use, like certain um, live stream tools that can help you, your free social media platforms that can be used. You know, maybe you have a budget of $50 to go boost an ad or something in that nature. You definitely can use that as well. So I can't say this amount applies to like all authors. I can't say that because I don't know what type of book it is, where it would need to go, what channels it would need to be on. And speaking of social channels, you have authors and even smaller business owners who tend to want to be on everything. And sometimes your your audience, your target audience might not be on those platforms, or they're not even there. I've had several professionals that says, I don't have a Facebook account, but I have a LinkedIn. So you need to be on LinkedIn where those professionals are. So it depends. You know, there are tons of questions that need to be asked before I say this is a specific budget. But the book does give them a guide of, okay, this is amount here that you may want to consider in this channel. If you want to boost the ad as low as $50, you can, or $20. I share a little specific in the book about that, but I don't give a I don't give a thorough amount because it's different for each author. And I wrote the book also not just targeted per industry. I cover nonprofits. I cover those in for profits. I cover those. So my information is general. I cover those in startup, just starting out in business, not to scare them and not to go low for larger companies. And so the book is literally for every business owner, those who are nonprofit and for profit. So it's for each to grab something. It's a handbook. They can grab something and learn something from the book.
Bernice, you mentioned a whole bunch of information, points, in that you mentioned right now. And the reason I say that is a lot of people are still averse to social media, for example.
Yes,
Even right now, that we
yes,
are living in a time when digital marketing is so important, so strategic to your marketing campaign. And so a
yes,
lot of people say, well, I don't like Facebook, or "Oh, LinkedIn is dead, oh, Twitter is just so full of negative people.
yes,
But who is your target market? And I want to stress again, as we mentioned before, a digital marketing campaign is not a one and done it, and it's not something you can rush. It's not speed dating.
yes,
You cannot. I think we mentioned. I just want to reiterate. We mentioned before, and I thought it was a very important point that you mentioned that when you start writing your book, already start your marketing, your digital marketing campaign. At that point, do not wait until your book is done, or don't wait until
please
your book
don't.
goes to the publisher. Um, because it takes time to build an audience. People somehow have the misconception that, if I go live once, I'm going to reach a gazillion people.
No,
It doesn't work that way.
it
You
does
can't,
not.
it takes time to build a following. It takes time. It can take months.
It
So you
takes
don't want to,
consistency.
yes. So you cannot do this it's not a once off thing. And you have to build that audience over, building trust. It's the same as with a friendship. You
Yes.
don't meet somebody and you become best friends overnight. Okay, yes, sometimes this happens, and it's like, sometimes people go onto YouTube and they just get super lucky and they have 1,000 followers overnight. But realistically speaking, that does not happen
Does
to the
not.
average person. That's not a representation of how social media works as a general rule. And you don't know whether your first or your second live stream is going to hit just that niche market where things go viral. But
Yes.
statistically that does not happen every single day or to the same person. So you don't want to count on that happening, because then you're setting yourself up for failure, essentially.
Yes.
You want to be realistic and set the bar high. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you did mention that a lot of people think that they should be everywhere on all the different platforms. Why is it so important that you want to niche down on a specific um, platform as opposed to being everywhere?
Well, I look at it like this. Sometimes we can, as entrepreneurs, we can invest our time in areas that is irrelevant. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't be you shouldn't try to be everywhere and where your audience, your target audience isn't. If I'm promoting a book with entrepreneurs, I need to be where entrepreneurs are. I need to be where uh those specific entrepreneurs and business owners are. That matters even with the time that I stream, that matters as well. I cover that in my book about the specific times, how timing also is important as well, because you can be also on platforms, but at the wrong timing. And we wonder like, wow, no one really viewed it, or no one, I didn't get any engagement. Well, maybe they either probably was asleep, or they might had an average 9 to 5. If you're going to work with an average, if you're trying to target an average 9 to 5, well, you might want to do your live stream at 7 at night, or 6 at night. Just targeting those things can help you prepare and plan better with your live streaming, with your marketing. What time will it go out? Getting I like to call peak time. The peak time is what time is normally your target audience will actually view this. And I cover this also in like some of my email marketing trainings of what time people normally would watch and view an email. Those things are important, knowing those datas. And that's why I say, you can't just be everywhere, because if you're okay, of course, you're everywhere. Let's just say you're all over the place, but you're there. But if your target audience is there, you have not gotten a sale. You have not gotten the follower that you like, or the subscriber, or whatever your goal may be. Some people their goal might be to have say 1,000 more people in their group. Whatever your goal may be, whatever the goal may be, you need to stick to the goal, and all of that matters in the planning process of your campaign. And this is why I say, don't focus on trying to be everywhere. Focus head on really close on where your audience is. And so you want to show up to where your audience is. Show up to where your audience is, and make sure that the message that you share, your target audience can identify. They can identify with that. And so that when you're going online, or if you're showing or if you have um your posting that you're sharing out, they're not just looking, you know, they're not just looking at it, they are actually engaging in it, because they now see that they can identify with the message. It's because they're your target audience. So you want to make sure that you are where they are. And so this is why I share, don't focus on trying to be everywhere. Your main focus should be, where's my target audience? And these are channels and platforms that I need to focus my energy on.
I want to shift a little bit to another area in marketing, and that's email marketing.
Yes.
Why would you say, are email lists still relevant? Why should you build an email list? And what are the common mistakes you see people making with email lists?
It still is relevant. I cover this all the time. I'm always teaching. And I would definitely say one of the mistakes is that there is no segmentation with email marketing. And for those who don't know what segmentation is that you have a group, but you are creating a segment to where a group of people are. I have a training on that for those who don't know what that is more in depth, but I'm going to try explaining it. Is one of the mistakes that a lot of um, authors, business owners, entrepreneurs use is, you have everybody all into one email, and so everyone just gets a random email. You may sell um plants, right? And everybody gets this one plant. You have a new plant email. Well, everyone might not be interested in that. But if you create segmentation, meaning if they click on, say you have an email and there's a plant email that you send out, well, whoever is interested in it, you take them to another group that they can go, another email group. So the next time you send out, it will only go to those people who clicked on the plant
Mm.
email. So it's more of a strategy. I would say the reason why a lot of people's emails aren't really effective is because there's no strategy behind it. And I cover that in my book about the importance of strategy, because you can be all over the place and it looks amazing. But if you have no strategy, you have no purpose behind it. You don't take people to something. It's not a to go action. You got to have some form of strategy behind what you do. And so that's what I would definitely say is that um have a strategy with your email. No email is not dead. Like literally over I literally just did a training on this today, and 56 it's over 56% of people that open their emails from their smartphone. That's over half of people who open their emails through their smartphone. People are mobile, so you have to also think of a way of how to size it that people from mobile can always see it. It's to go, it's clean. All of those tips matter even in building your campaign. I mean, I know I'm sharing more than one tip, but I would definitely say one that I see regularly that people do is they just send out emails to a whole group, and you will definitely get somebody who will unsubscribe. I've been there. Like people just put me in groups, and I'm like, why did I get this email? I did not sign up for this, or like, what is this? Like, this is not what I signed up for. Even if I sign up to be a part of the group, now I have another email that's not relevant to what I originally signed up for. So that will easily get people to not be interested. And like you said before, building that trust. If you tell people that this is content that's going to be sent out and you send something contrary to your original intent, you're sending something out now that you're trying to get me to sell something, and it's obvious you're trying to literally get me to sell to buy something. That's not building trust. That's something that's
Mhm.
contrary to what you just said. But if you really are sharing with people that I'm going to send out content that's going to really help you build your brand, it's going to really help you. It's not every email is a sale. You're really genuinely send out content to really help people as they grow to solve a problem. We all are here trying to solve a problem. Um, I mean, just those tips can really help in the building of your campaign. So that that would be my answer.
I think, email campaigns are such a minefield. In the last while, for example, I have embarked on a campaign of
Yes.
unsubscribing because, you
Yes.
see the email and all you see is somebody trying to
Hmm.
sell you something.
Yes.
It just reeks of spam and it's irritating. And I don't want to buy from those people because, they've pushed the wrong buttons in me.
Yes.
Um, by being too salesy. And so you're saying avoid that by having a specific plan behind your email. And I really also picked up on what you said there is that, you've got to move people around based on how they respond to your email. Because I think
Yes.
that's something I don't think a lot of people think of.
No.
They have this list and they will keep sending to the same list over and over and over. And I know for myself that's bound, I'm definitely going to be hitting the unsubscribe button.
Hmm.
And it kind of just it we buy things based on how people make us feel. And so if
Yes.
somebody makes me feel irritated, I'm not going to want to buy from them because I'm going to think, well, if I buy from them, they're going to keep sending me these junky emails, and
Yes.
I don't want their junky emails.
Yes. I am unsubscribe all the time. I always tell um my clients, you're a business owner, but you have to also focus or view it as a consumer. Would you want all of these emails being sent out, these random emails? You have to think about it. And sometimes I feel like we as entrepreneurs, we're only thinking from a one area. We're thinking, oh, this is a product, here's a service that I offer, and I want to get this out to these people. But if you look at the other side as a consumer, really look and really think, would I as a consumer want to consume all of these emails and it's just a general email, or would I be interested in why I originally signed up to the email? So segmentation is definitely important. So I would highly recommend an average author, business owner, whomever, who wants to start creating an email campaign to focus on the data of your email. Who clicks on it? What are they interested in? What time do they normally click? All of this matters when building your campaign, because you're going to need to know a plan. You're going to need to know what around what times you'll be sending out these campaigns. What time will you be scheduling and sending out your content for social media? All of this is a planning process of the campaign. And this is what's so different from a campaign versus you're just sending out something. You know, you got a campaign builds, helps you build, it helps you create a plan, it helps you target, helps you sit down and really strategize on all your data and how you're going to implement all the content that you have. But which channels will you use? Which channels aren't as effective? Who's really your target audience? So I would say definitely consider an email campaign in it. Definitely. It's not dead, but just know to strategize.
That is a great tip. And my last question for you is
I
how
love your questions.
important, thank you, how important is your website as part of your marketing campaign? Because I find a lot of times people either don't have a website at all, they don't think that a website's important, or the website isn't it's not optimized for mobile, because that's the one thing that you mentioned earlier as well. Well, I
Yes.
think that another thing people didn't think about was optimizing your email for
Yes.
mobile, so it's not optimized. Um, or people have a website that comes out of the dark ages. What is the importance of your website as part of your marketing plan?
I would like to think that it is 2021. I would like to think that we all now, as entrepreneurs, are wanting to advance into having a website. Like, I hope we're not still having this conversation. And I say this jokingly because if you have followed me, if not, follow me, because I have this conversation literally all the time. Like, have a website. Like, social media is awesome. Please, if you can, be connected to where your target audience is, please, by all means, but make sure that those are just a a a direct traffic tool to your website. You need a home. You're out. Let's just look at, you're out and about on day to day routine of everything that you do, but you always go back home. There's always has to be a home space. And I view it that way is because it's so important that you have a place that people can look at everything that you do and not just one social media platform. I jokingly, yes, I think it was yesterday, was it Monday? I think it was 2 days ago when Facebook yeah, it was 2 days ago, Monday, when Facebook went down. And I was like, oh, well, looks like those who were on other platforms and who had a website, we're fine. We had a email, we had our email list to communicate with people. I said jokingly, because people who know me and those I've seen, Antoinette, looks like she was on YouTube, and you guys know I talk about this all the time, is that you can use those channels, the social channels. They're good, but you must have a website. You must have a place that people go to, and that, listen to this, not that they just go to, but it's user friendly. Just because you have a website, if it's not user friendly, you lose an average customer, a person who they may have seen your amazing stuff that you put out on social media. You can lose them from that point, from coming from your social platform to your website, and it's not user friendly. And I would like to think that now, with so many platforms that's available, you can get a website like literally at low cost. We also have Loman Creative Services. We have a hosting company, and so we offer also website builders for literally $5.99 plus tax a month. So, I always tell people there is so many other platforms that you can use that is very affordable, that's already mobile optimized. So it's literally no excuse now. It's 2021. Back in the day, websites were really expensive. It was very expensive to get like smartphones, and things that we have the privilege now in getting at a low cost with maybe financing and things like that. But now we're in 2021. Literally, I have to say there is no excuse um, to having a website that's optimized. And you have tools like Google, that if you're not sure if your website is not Google optimized, they have a free tool online that you can use, and just to put in your website to see if it's optimized, and they will let you know. Google will let you know if it is, and if it isn't, what solutions, what's on your website that needs to be removed or changed. You have so many other free tools that's out there. I don't have time to say all of them, but I'm just saying there are literally um tons of free tools that you can use to help you. So literally, there's no excuse. I would definitely say do it now. You need to begin to optimize your website, make sure your website is user friendly so that it matches what you share. So I've seen this happen a lot. Um I see it improving a little bit, especially during the pandemic. But one of the things I've seen is people have amazing stuff that they share online, like through social media. But when I go to their website, it's totally different. I'm like, is that the same? Is that the same people? You have to make sure that your website is updated. Make sure that it matches what you do. All about when you're building a campaign, everything, your whole entire digital plan should match together. Your Twitter, if you have a Twitter, your Twitter should match the same and look the same as your Instagram. I should go to your Instagram and I should see symbols of your website. Everything should all come together. I shouldn't, even my brand colors, I shouldn't see yellow on your website, but something different when I see you're posting on another platform. Everything should all come together. And that's the importance of building your campaign, is that you have a place where you can sit down wherever, or strategize however you want to, wherever you be, and say, this is what we have, a map out. This is what we need. This is our digital plan. This is where we want to go. But this is how we're going to get there. Here's our colors. This is our brand colors. I cover, even in the book, although the book is marketing campaigns, I start with the digital branding and the importance of branding first. I cover that because I believe a lot of small business owners get it mixed up, knowing the difference between branding and marketing. And also, um, I find that people go right into marketing and not understanding the importance of branding. And you wonder why a lot of people not really engaging or getting into the marketing, is because they really didn't know who you were. You just showed up, by my book. They didn't know.
There's, there's a lot of things I think that people don't think of. I
Yeah.
often, with people, for example, they have one username on one social media account.
Yes.
So there'll be Ruth on Twitter,
Yes.
and there'll be Naomi on Facebook, and then there'll
Yes.
be Bernadette on LinkedIn. And you're
Yes.
kind of like, how do I even find you when there's no consistent branding across the
Yes.
platforms?
I
But
agree.
saying with websites, just another question I want to ask you, just on websites alone. You mentioned earlier, you said, your website is your address,
Yes.
your home, your go-to. So, like with a normal home, your home in the suburbs is going to matter, right?
Yes.
As opposed to your home in the country or
Yes.
your home wherever else, right?
Yes.
So I see a lot of people will say, well, why do I have to bother to get a .com? Why do I have to bother to get a .org? Why do I have to bother to get a dot live? Why can I not just be um, Joe Soap at Wixsite or Joe Soap at NowSite?
Yes.
What's your sense on that? I mean, I know what my answer is, but from a marketing perspective, what is your advice on how you call your digital home?
It helps with ownership. It helps with branding. Uh, we want to make sure that we are in ownership, and that we're not renting. If we're promoting a brand, because that's what you're doing when you begin to create a campaign, you are sharing a brand. You are making sure that, or wanting to make sure that your audience knows about a brand, and so why not go all the way into branding? I've seen this where people do utilize like Wix sites. And my recommendation is, if you're going to do it, at least purchase the paid plan so that you can have a customized domain, if that's the option that you go. I hate seeing this, going to somebody's website and they have somebody else's Wix site or whatever .com or .net, and I'm like, well, you're wanting to build a brand. So if you wanting to build a brand, you have to think of, owning that brand and having ownership of that brand. So yeah, I would definitely suggest getting a customized domain, because it brings ownership. You want to make sure that you own the brand that you're promoting. If you want to share that this is the brand that you are sharing with others, or are introducing to others, well, make sure that they see that brand and not anyone else's brand. So that's my small nugget on that. I have a lot to say on that. I really preach this all the time. I literally preach this all the time, and I try to encourage those who are starting in business. Literally just Saturday, I was talking to a gentleman. I met him at one of my clients' store, and he was a t-shirt company that they use, or vendor that they use. And while I was there at my client's store, he delivered their t-shirts, and I was like, awesome, I love to support smaller businesses, and I asked for his card. Well, his card, he didn't have a website. And so I asked him, um, and that's another topic, because I think this same concept, as well as for emails as well, having a professional email matters as well. But that's another topic. But I shared
I
with
think
him
you
and
and
I
I
asked
can
him, like,
talk. I think you and I can talk for a long time on this topic.
so I asked him about the website, and this is the tip that I gave him, because this is also a myth from for small businesses that think that websites are expensive. They used to be. And I'm a website developer, but they used to be. But you now can get some amazing website builders that are already optimized. They're drag and drops, but they're still optimized for social media. I mean, websites. You still can add your mega tags, and as normally the things you normally would have had to pay a large of money for, now you can do it at a low cost. And what I was telling him was, even if you don't want to hire a website builder or a designer right now, get your domain, own your name. Own your name. Once you have your name, you can get your customized uh, email. You can forward a domain. You could forward a domain, even if you're using your social media for right now, you could forward your domain and just take people over to those sites. But brand, so people can see that this is your company, and don't brand so heavily on these social media platforms that people look for your website and they can't find you. And let me say this, people will also, before you purchase the domain, people will buy the domain that you've been promoting and sell it. So why not own it? That's all I want to let you know regarding the domain. Make sure you at least own your domain name.
I always tell people, they kind of think it's not that important to me now. But
No.
if you have a business concept, even if it's the concept
Yes.
phase, go get that domain name. You don't want to start working on campaigns and
Yes.
and then find at the end that domain name is no longer available to you. That's an
Yes.
absolute disaster. It's a disaster. And again, I want to reiterate what you said, because I have been telling people for this years as well. If you have a website that says Wix or Now Site or whatever,
Hmm.
who are you advertising? You are advertising Now Site, you are
You
advertising
are.
Wix, whoever it
Hmm.
is. That is what people will remember, is that last bit of the email. So you're promoting someone else,
Yes.
not yourself. And you don't want to do that, because it's no longer as expensive as it was. It's pretty
No.
cheap to get a .com these
Pretty cheap.
days.
Pretty cheap. And two, I want to also add, with domains, is that once you have that domain, you can, I said a little bit about the forwarding, but you can forward it to anything. One thing that I did for my marketing campaign handbook, I got the domain. I own the domain Marketing Campaign Handbook, and I use the domain.
Tell people why that is smart. I mean, I know why it's smart. Just tell people why that is smart if you have a book.
Well, it's also one of the reasons I did it was I wanted to make sure that when people are searching the searching through finding the marketing campaign handbook, it takes them to the website Marketing Campaign Handbook. And it's good for SEO. It's real good for search engine optimization. One of the things that I did for the Marketing Campaign Handbook is when I got the domain, I forwarded over because I wanted to have a large email following. This is while I was writing the book, guys. So right while I was writing it, I had already got the domain name. And even now, if you go to marketingcampaignhandbook.com, it takes you first to get in as a landing page. I created the landing page so that I can capture emails. And from my emails, it then directs you to the Amazon site so you can purchase the book. Everyone has, you may have another reasoning of of why you wanted to do it. Emails is definitely what I was aiming for when I was writing the book. But I own the name and it's real good for SEO. So there's one of the reasons why I highly recommend authors and anyone who's starting business. You have a brand, get the domain for that, because as you're promoting, people are going to look for it. They're going to try to find it. Well, what you think is going to happen if somebody gets that domain? They're going to search while they're searching, and it might not go to any of your postings. It'll go to those people or persons who purchased that domain. So think also as people, as a consumer. Again, I always say think of as a consumer, those who are actually searching for something. So those who are searching for marketing campaign handbooks, guess what? The search engine that they're searching for it is going to draw them to my book. So that's why I decided to do it.
Absolutely. Bernice, you have dropped so many nuggets. Um,
Thank you.
Here, it is absolutely amazing. Thank you so, so much. And just want to give a huge big shout out to Freddie
Hi,
on
Freddie.
Amazon Live. Haven't seen him for a while. So Freddie, welcome. We're just ending. We were talking about marketing, and please, people, I have put the campaign handbook in the carousel. So if you are watching us over on Amazon Live, head over and get a copy of that book, please. I think if you've watched the show, whether you're watching it live on the replay, there's absolutely no doubt, Bernice, you know your stuff.
Thank you.
You've dropped so many golden nuggets here. So thank you so much for that. And I want to say thank you to our amazing audience who's joined us today. Um, Go get this handbook. It is, if whether you are a startup, Whether you are a medium-sized company or a Fortune 500, this is one of those books that you absolutely do want to be getting. Bernice, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today. Much
you.
appreciated. And thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of Books with Bridgetti. So for now, take care, everyone.